What's up, YouTube? Southern Comic Geek coming to you with a CBCS unboxing. Yes, it finally happened. The FedEx truck was supposed to arrive a couple of days ago. These books have been at CBCS since February. Did I say CBCS or CGC? Are they starting to be both? Well, if you want to see if I am excited about the grades, disappointed about the grades, or okay with the grades, stay tuned for the video. So before we get into all of this comic book goodness, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification. So when videos like this drop ever so randomly, you are one of the first people to know and can make the conscious decision as to whether or not to watch it now or later. As long as you watch it, we appreciate you. Now, while you're doing that, I want to give a shout out to the channel members. So an ever-growing list of people that are supporting the channel through YouTube or Patreon membership. If you are interested in the benefits of doing either or both, the links are in the description below. Also, visit gocollect.com for all of your collecting questions and hopefully some answers for you, and as well as interesting articles, all for free. Get even more information with a paid-for membership. So, like I said, we got this box in the mail. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12 books. So I sent these back in January to my presser, who is Eric the comic_presser over on Instagram. And he's worked his magic. He made some comments regarding some of the books, which I will share when it comes back. This is certainly a lesson in doing a better job before you send books off. Some of these I assumed too much, and some of these were surprises. Some of them have been in my collection for a while, so that does help to assume stuff, but I'll share all that with you. And what I hope to be a very honest take on the grades. We all would love to have 9.8s, right? It's just the fact is 9.8s wouldn't be what they are, which is 9.8s and very valuable, if every book we ever sent up was 9.8s. So unfortunately, we can't always get 9.8s, but we always feel we should, right? So we'll hopefully give an honest take on these books, and be sure to smash that like button for that. So the first book up on the radar is this one right here, and that is, don't ever apologize for the glare, is what Bubs tells me. So that is Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. This is the penciled variant. There is a photo variant, which I thought about sending off, but this is the pencil variant of issue 3. And it's, of course, Darth Maul and his baddie Sith goodness. I bought this off of an auction on YouTube for $5. That's right, $5. If you're interested in knowing what these books are, well, this is like a $200 book. So I bought a whole set of these Episode 1, including the photo variant and this one. And then, of course, it averaged out to be $5. And so the moral of the story is to be sure to pay attention to YouTube auctions, especially the ones that happen on this channel at 1 p.m. Central Time on Saturdays. How's that for a plug? So this book looked really clean. Was one of the reasons why I wanted to send it off, other than just being an awesome looking cover. And it came back a 9.6. So like I said in the intro, obviously I would rather have a 9.8. Unfortunately, if everything was a 9.8, it wouldn't be anymore. So one of the things that I'm going to try to do in today's video, because I just unboxed these, so you're seeing this, although you're not seeing it live, you're seeing me record it live because I don't do any editing. And I see a little ding there, like it got dropped back there. It's not nothing that's pressable, so that's probably what did her in. But these cases seem to be scuffed up a little bit more than what I think they should be. But let me know if you've been getting the same thing from CBCS. I've basically switched over to CBCS versus CGC. And if you haven't seen my videos regarding my CGC hiccups, then certainly feel free to check those out. But I will give the fact that CGC does have customer support. Now, you can do quotations around that one too, but they do have customer support that's based in the US, because speaking English and understanding English are two different things. And the people that CBCS employs can do the former, not the latter. And if you email them, you do get support on the inside of the States. But I just guess I'm old-fashioned that way, that I really rather have a phone call. But what do you do? So this next book is sticking with the Star Wars theme, and that is Star Wars Heir to the Empire #1. This is the first appearance of Grand Admiral Thrawn. I think it's the first appearance. Yeah, Mara Jade in comics. This is the adaptation to the Heir of the Empire novel, which, even though it's not considered canon anymore, it's now considered Legends. Check it out. It was a great read. Timothy Zahn, who created Grand Admiral Thrawn. Grand Admiral Thrawn is one of the retcons that I'm actually glad that Disney did, because in the books, spoiler alert, but in the books he dies, whereas Disney has kept him alive and used him, and probably going to continue to use him with the Ahsoka Tano show. But this is #1, so this is their first appearance. I bought this raw from M&M Comic Sale. So Matt Marlin, I bought it from him on one of his auctions one night. He totally showed all the flaws that are in this book. There are some, there's one big crease. When I say big crease, I don't know if the camera will get that or not, but you can kind of see that line right there. There's that little wear on the spine was the main items there for that. And there's some scuffing down there at the bottom. But anyhow, having said that, it came back as a 9.0. He had graded it at an 8. So shout out to Matt for selling books that were harshly graded, and when they got pressed and sent into the grader, they came back a 9.0. And so that was pretty cool. Again, obviously, he would love the 9.8. I would really like a newsstand copy of that, but man, with Star Wars prices and comic prices in general lately, the upgrading thought is the furthest from my mind. Now, this is one that this will pay you to do your homework for. So this is Star Wars Legacy #1. This was a great series, a series that I was on before Star Wars was cool again. This is one that Dark Horse did that's set 125 years, as you can see right here, after Vader. So this is a whole new set of Sith, of course, except for this guy right here, which I won't spoil it for you if you haven't read it. You can get them digitally. You can get them in trades. But I was collecting the individual comics either off the newsstand, which at that point was Barnes & Noble or Books A Million. And but I got this one at a comic shop, obviously, because it says direct sales. So one of the quick ways that you can determine whether something is a second print or not is looking at the barcode down here. So if the last number is 2, then that should be a second print. So, you know, years ago when I pulled this off, because if I remember correctly, I bought this at a comic shop that was open in Macomb, Mississippi. And I bought like the first several issues there from them. And that would have included this one. So, you know, didn't say second print. A lot of the second prints I would have noticed. I would have thought I would have noticed it on the inside. Of course, maybe I did back in 06 when this came out. Maybe I didn't. But this is an awesome Adam Hughes cover. And so what I did when I went to send it in, I was thinking this was a first print because this has a 1 there, so it's not a second print. Unfortunately, it's a second print, and CBCS caught that, and I was very saddened by that because I don't know if I would have sent that in. Second prints have gained steam as the first prints have gotten out of sorts, but the Star Wars Legacy book has not gotten out of sorts yet. So I don't know that I would have sent this one in. I had a couple of other ones like issue 2 that I might have sent in instead of this one. It's a cool cover nevertheless. The first cover is actually a gray background. And so this came back a 9.6. So shout out to some good pressing and good keeping, moi, because I read this back in 06 and it still came back a 9.6 after a press. And I can there's a little ding up there in the corner. And these part of my collection was one of the few things that I had when I started collecting again almost 2 years ago, were these Star Wars Legacy books and some of the other Star Wars Dark Horse stuff. And now all of a sudden I'm like, man, he's got all these great collections. Well, it was it was good before all this other stuff blew up. So still a cool cover, Adam Hughes cover, Darth Kryat, first appearance and death of Cole Skywalker, first appearance of Cade Skywalker, Master Sazin, Darth Neal, Darth Kryat, Darth Malady, and Darth Why Not. And again, an Adam Hughes cover. So pretty cool nevertheless. Second printings, maybe it becomes something. I don't know. Don't know that I'm planning on selling it. So whether it becomes something or not, who cares? All right. So last year when cons got shut down, one of the few big cons that was in the Huntsville Comic and Pop Culture Expo. They had it again this year, and it was much bigger than it was last year. But last year, I really wasn't in the mood or on the hunt for any big books in particular. Matter of fact, the most stuff I bought was stuff that I ended up just reselling. The only 2 big books that I picked up were this one right here and the first appearance of Jason Todd, pre-retcon. So in Batman, those were the only 2 big books. And that, when I say big, you're talking about $50 or so, less than 100. You're not talking about big stuff. So this is the 3rd appearance. If you don't count the preview edition, this is the 3rd appearance of Moon Knight. CBC, I don't know if CGC notates it on their labels or not, but this is Werewolf by Night 37 from March of 1976. Art by Don Perlin. Death of Balearic Morcosa. Moon Knight, Hangman, and Dr. Glitter Knight cover and appearance. So I bought this one before I ended up getting the second one. The second appearance of Moon Knight is actually in my box to go to the presser once I get through with this con that is happening this weekend. So I found this, and they had graded it a 7.0. And I felt like it was a pretty solid 7.0, but there were some pressable defects. I felt like we could do a little bit better. There are some ticks along the spine that are color breaking, so there's nothing you're going to be able to do with that. But it came back as an 8.0 copy. So I don't know. I like the idea of lining up the first 3 appearances and having them linear grades. However, to do that, because my Werewolf by Night 32 is an actual 6.0, I would either have to ding this one or go buy another Werewolf by Night 32. And again, with the prices that these books are getting, I don't know that that's going to happen. But yeah, pleased with the 8.0 grade. Obviously, was just planning on a 7.0, so got a little bit higher grade than what I thought. In this box, as most of the time with most of the CGC or CBCS boxes that I see open, it's a mixed bag of tricks. Sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some, that type of thing. So then we've got Batman 13. This is the Golden Age Batman goodness right here. CBCS is supposed to be coming out with magazine size holders. The only reason I sent this in because they don't really advertise that, and these Golden Age books are bigger, and I was kind of worried that it would fit, is because I have another one that I had bought from somebody who sent it into CBCS. So I knew that they had cases that would fit it. It is a very tight fit, but it's in there nevertheless. Now, this is going to be, I'm going to show the grade and then I'll talk about it some more. But I bought this from a member that was in the community. He has since exited the community unless he came back under some alias. But there was some shenanigans with some other buyers of his that didn't ever get their stuff. I can't say that about him. I got all the books, including this one, from him. This one was one that he found. He reached out to me knowing that I collected Batman and asked if I wanted to pick it up for a set price. And I said, sure. He had estimated this grade to be a 2.0. So it came back as a 2.5. So that's definitely a grade bump. And when you're talking about books like this, you're talking about some serious money going from a 2 to a 2.5, several $100s. And so I was glad about that. But if you'll notice what it says under there, so CBCS does not do the green or purple labels for the various detriments, if you will, to the book. CBCS just simply notates it on the label. So just keep that in mind. If you're looking at a CBCS label, don't just look at blue and say, oh, okay, well, it's okay. That's not necessarily the case with CBCS. So if you can see, it says restored, slight restoration. This is a case where I should have paid better attention. In this particular book, I still planned on getting it slabbed for preservation more than anything else. But this is a book I plan on getting slabbed anyway. But if it's a lower value book, restored can make a big difference, especially if you're planning on selling it. So be sure to check it out. I need to get me a black light to be able to check out for that restoration. Now, having someone saying, hey, it's been restored or color touched, which is what this is with this book. It's got some tape on the spine, which I saw, but I did not see the color touch, but I wasn't looking for it. But now that I'm looking for it, I can see it pretty plain right down here. That it's a little blacker down there than what the rest of it should be. And that's because they've done it. I don't think they really ding me for this little stamp that's on here, although it's not a date stamp, I don't think. It's just a stamp some kid probably had of Dick Tracy or something, and they stamped it on there. I don't think they really ding me for that. But with the color touch, let's see. Yeah, so it shows up on the back. Do that with the rest of this one. Now, say on the back, it says full page hostess ad featuring Spider-Man. I guess just neat stuff that's in the book. Story titled The End. Something I haven't noticed them doing before. There's nothing on that Star Wars one. Maybe it's just the older stuff. Yeah. But on this one, it actually gives the different story titles. Interior back cover ad for Detective 68 and some all these other books. And of course, with CBCS, one of the things that sets them apart, I feel like, from CGC is this little QR code. You can simply scan it with your phone and look up the grader's notes. They don't hold your grader's notes hostage. If you're looking at a book that you didn't get graded, maybe the person you're buying from bought it graded, so they don't know or might not know. And it's very easy to obtain, and you don't have to pay for those grader notes. And so that's a pretty cool little deal there. But it says on the thing, amateur restoration includes moderate amount of color touch on the cover and moderate amount of tape on the cover and the interior. So I knew that was there. Is that really restoration or markings on the book? I doubt it was somebody that was trying to do it to resell it. It was probably some kid that thought that was cute or hold his comic together so he could read it more. Who knows? But cover and art, Jerry Robinson, Bob Kane, story by Bill Finger. So Joker appearance in here. So yeah, great classic book. This is one of the older books that I have in my collection and in my Batman collection and my collection as a whole. I think let's see, Batman 8 would be the oldest one. So only a few issues difference there. The stamp probably gives it a little character. So great book to have in the collection. As I said, even though it's restored, it's a 0.5 higher than what I thought it was going to be. So then we got this one right here, and this is another interesting story. So this is Batman 244, Ra's al Ghul cover appearance, Talia al Ghul cover appearance, classic Neil Adams cover. It's been homaged by Neil Adams a couple of times, and I've got the homages to that. So I bought this book from We Can Be Heroes on Instagram. They sold it as a 8.5. And so I sent it off to get it pressed, and it came back a 7.5. So yeah, yikes, a whole grade. And then, and the thing about this book that it presents so well, there are a couple of spine ticks. I noticed that the presser wasn't able to get out, a little blunting in that bottom left corner. A little bit on the back there, a little stainage down at the bottom, which is hard to see because of the color of the back. It's kind of hard to see those stains. But yeah, 7.5. Now, this is the interesting part. Notice this little check mark. This is something I've never seen before, but I was on a show with Big Will, and I said, what does the asterisk on this grade mean? He says, according to him, and tell me if you know something different in the comments down below, but this means that it presents better than a 7.5. So it's a 7.5, but it presents a lot better than 7.5, which I would agree with, but I'd never seen Cbcs or any company do that and say, hey, look, this is a really good looking book. There's just some issues with it. So if you're buying it to have in your collection, and I guess the value of this would be that if you're buying it to have in your collection, you're buying it online, you might not see it, and you're buying it just to say, I've got it in my collection and I want it to present well in that case, then you got it right here. And maybe you can get it a little bit cheaper since it's a 7.5 versus an 8.5 like I thought it was. So I don't know that I really ding We Can Be Heroes for that because, again, even to CBCS's acknowledgement, it presents better than a 7.5. So there is that. You know, first time I'd ever heard that. Then I got this book right here, and that is Darth Vader #3, first appearance of Doc Afra, and it is also and Triple O and BT1. This is the first printing. Fortunately, because I mentioned this with the Star Wars Legacy earlier, that they now color or have gone back to coloring the various printings. And those are some kind of cool covers too. Like there's a green one, there's a red one. So those are kind of cool as well. Thinking about getting those. But again, prices of these things have gone astronomical. So this was the second copy that I had. And I kind of wonder if I should have kept the other one. So I bought one of these from Cat60, who sells on every YouTube channel that will let him on. And then I bought another one of these from M&M Comic Sales, Matt Marlin. I don't remember which one is which, but in either case, I had hoped that this book would get to be a 9.8. So that's kind of a spoiler that it's not. It came back a 9.2. So remember that a 9.2 is a near mint book. So if you want a near mint book in your collection, which is what everybody used to clamor for, a 9.2 is still near mint. And there was some ticks, they said, because this is a super clean book. And just looking on the back here, because the thing with Marvel books in the back, yeah, there's some scuffing right there. So the thing with these Marvel books is that Marvel is so cheap that they use crappy paper and or inks. And a lot of times on these black covers back here, it'll scuff. So it's nothing to buy it straight off the newsstand or no, straight off of the comic book stand. And they have all the scuffing on here, even on a new book. And then you also have to attribute some of that to diamond. But nevertheless, awesome Adi Granoff cover, Salvador La Roca on the art, and Karen Gillian on the story. So definitely a super crew right there. First appearance of this character, who's more than likely going to be used. Don't know that I'm going to sell this one. I mentioned that I bought 2 copies. I sold one, and this is the one that I kept because this is one that I need to complete that set. So I have the whole set of that Darth Vader Volume 1. I only need like 2, maybe 3 for the second set, and then the third set is the one that's currently being published. So yeah, whether it was Matt or whether it was Cat 60, neither one of them sold it as a 9.8 candidate, as all people should do. It's funny that I hear so many people sell them. Oh, this is a candidate. This is a candidate. This is a candidate. Well, you're going to guarantee that because I've never heard this said of CBCS, but certainly with CGC, well, hey, it depends on if the guy had a good night the night before as to whether or not you get a good grade. But with CBCS, I've heard that they're harsh graders, so they're going to catch any little thing. So I don't think it's very wise to guarantee or promote a 9.8. I think it's the best, the highest grade should be, this is a very clean book, very clean book. So this is another example of check your books, Jason, before you submit them in. So this is Detective Comics 400. This is the first appearance of Man-Bat. Now, luckily for me, I did not pay much for this book. If you remember the story, I bought this in a box. It was not even bagged from a person. It was kind of a flea market, Comic Con type thing for $1. So I was money ahead. When the presser was pressing it, he said, man, this Detective Comics is kind of banged up. And I said, well, it really doesn't matter because, do what you can do with it. Because at the end of the day, I don't know if I'm going to hold it or not. I'm not currently collecting Detective Comics, only the Batman title. It's a great book, one of Batman's foes. I'm money ahead either way because it's only $1. And of course, the grading and the pressing cost. Here's where that label thing. So CGC and CBCS have their pluses and minuses. I mentioned customer service earlier, and I also mentioned the label. So with the label, they don't, CBCS that is, does not color it based on some kind of incomplete or a restored grade, whereas CGC does, which I kind of like from the standpoint that people, if you're trying to sell it, a lot of times people won't look at it. They see that grade and they just turn their mind completely off or think it's worth half the price, stuff like that. Whereas with CBCS, they at least can read the label, look at how the book presents and say, it's a pretty good looking book. Maybe I can pay X amount of dollars. The flip side to that is that CBCS, if it's incomplete like that, to my knowledge, CGC will give it a grade. Like I have a first appearance of Banshee, X-Men 50, 51, something like that. And it is incomplete because the centerfold is missing. But I got a 5.5 on it. It's a green label, which is kind of fitting for Banshee, right? But it is a 5.5 nevertheless. However, CBCS don't do that. They just simply put it as a 0.5. I had this happen with my Poison Ivy. I didn't realize CBCS did that. I knew the stuff was missing on the Poison Ivy book, but I didn't realize CBCS done that. So this is really totally on me for not checking the book like I should have and sending this in because I feel like this would have at least got a 3.5 or a 4 with CGC. It would have got a green label. So maybe it balances out. I don't know. Tell me down in the comments what y'all think about all that. But this is the first appearance in Origin of Man-Bat, Dr. Robert Kirkland Langstrom. And first Batgirl and Robin team-up story. Art by Gil Kane, Dick Giordano. Stories by Denny O'Neil. Cover art by Neil Adams. So, yeah, great classic book. Was glad to have it in my collection for $1. But had I known that this was not complete, I would not have sent it in. Could I probably still get my money's worth because I'm so little into it? Yeah, probably so, but I just wouldn't have graded it. Then we've got another Dark Horse Star Wars book. This is another one that I bought straight off of, if you see it right here, the newsstand. That's right. It just says Star Wars Presents, which means it's a newsstand. This is Star Wars Tale 24. It is a photo cover of Darth Maul. It seems like this is the photo variant because there's another one that's not photoed. Seems like there is another first appearance in here, but I don't remember who it is. So, but nevertheless, cool photo cover. It was a newsstand. I bought it straight off of the newsstand, and it had been read Um, I thought it was in a lot better condition. When the presser looked at it, he said, "Man, this thing's kind of banged up." And I said, "Well, I bought it straight off the newsstand. It was red and loved. As a matter of fact, the board and bag were probably yellowing." Um, and this is from 2005. Wow, so I had it that long. And the corners are blunted on the food. Again, Jason, check your books. And it might not have been me doing this. It might have already been like that. And I really wasn't worried about it because back in the day before, which I know in 05, CGC was already in existence, but I didn't do CGC back then. I just bought the comics to read them. I know, strange thought, right? Might have been this way. It might have been me. I don't know. But nevertheless, what did we come back with? We came back with a 7.0. So paid $3 or $9. No, that's $9.99 Canadian. Whatever the price was, $5.99, which was a lot of money back in 2005 for me especially. And so the fact that I got it, it is a newsstand copy. So kind of more coveted for that reason. Because in 2005, certainly there were not that many newsstands out there carrying this, and to get a 7.0, I was tempted to sell it. Had it been a 9 or like a 9.6 or something like that, I certainly would have probably, and a newsstand would have went ahead and parted ways with it. It's a cool cover, but you know, it seems like there is a first appearance of somebody in there. Leave me a comment down below if you know who it is. And maybe I'll still sell it. Maybe it's still worth me selling with what I've got in it to somebody who's maybe looking for that newsstand. These are the invoices that they dropped in there. Also, I guess they're pushing Comic Link. Or Comic Link paid them to put that in there. So this is a book, though, that I bought more recently off of Instagram. I believe it is a store, but this is the gold version of Wildcats #1. Now, Jim Lee goodness, I normally pick up Wildcats #1 in newsstands if I can find them on the cheap. And so this is, looking at the stains on this case, horrible. So I bought this raw, and of course this is a gold embossed cover, includes a Wildcat trading card insert, first appearance of the Wildcats, and yeah, so it looked really good. I bought it because one, it was a gold Wildcats, which incidentally I've seen another one sell on Instagram much cheaper than this, but it was not signed. This is a Jim Lee signature, one of my favorite artists, certainly my favorite back in the day, and don't have that many signatures of his, and so to get it on Wildcats was pretty cool. I did not know what this was going to come back with because it does have that black back. This is not one that the presser can do anything with being that embossed cover there. The spine looked pretty clean, but to me the question was going to be on the back. How did things go on the back? And there were some smudges on the back, so that ended up bumping it down to a 9.6. Still a cool book for what I paid for it as a 9.6, because typically if I don't have a grade, I like to, when I'm putting it in my CLZ app, put it down to a 9.0, which is slightly below near mint, right? Maybe near mint minus. And so I like to put that in a 9.0. So for just my mind's sake, insurance sake, that if it's at least that good, unless it's like really worse, and then I go ahead and grade it like that. But I don't put them all in as 9.8s. This one was because I sent it in raw, had to be verified signature. They did verify the signature as authentic Jim Lee's signature. So that is pretty cool. And that is one of the things that I like about Cbcs as opposed to CGC, and that is they will verify the signature. Whereas CGC just says, hey, there's writing on the cover. Here's a green label that nobody's going to like. So there is that right there. So I'll save the biggest book for last. This one right here, another classic book, and that is Batman 232. This is the first appearance of Ra's al Ghul, second appearance of Talia al Ghul, and cameo, An Origin of Batman and Robin Retold. So this one I bought from Ben Hunters. He was selling under Don't Forget About His podcast at that time. But I bought this from him. He was on a YouTube auction, and he showed all the various things. The interesting thing about this is there is a hole right at Batman's ear that goes, you can probably see it better on the back right there. There's a hole that goes all the way through there. He showed that on the thing, and he estimated the grade to be a 3.5. It came back a 3.5. So he was right on the money. I did get the presser to press this, but pressers can't add stuff back, like filling in holes and things like that. Now, the interesting thing is that it came back as a conserved amateur. So what is the difference between conserved and restoration? I'm asking anybody that is able to answer that. Leave me a comment down below, because in my mind, it's the same thing, because it says amateur conservation includes cover reinforced and spine split sealed with glue. So is glue conservation and tape restoration? Or is the restoration on my other book just a color touch? And what if I want to conserve the color on the whole book? Would that not then be considered conserving, not restoring? I don't know, but glad to have this one. Like to have all of the Batman main villains' first appearances. I have most of them. Most of them, the Silver Age appearances. So like with Penguin and Riddler and stuff like that had Golden Age appearances, but I don't have those, just the Silver Age ones. But Ra's al Ghul, definitely one of Batman's main baddies. Talia al Ghul being Damian Wayne's mother. Definitely a tie-in there. So picked this up on the cheap from him, and hey, I'm okay with it, even though it does say conserved. So this is the big book. Now this is X-Men #4. This is the first appearance of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, as well as the second appearance of Magneto, Mastermind, Toad, Quicksilver, and in particular Scarlet Witch. So this book has, I know like every other book, gone sky high, but with this lady having her own television show, it became a real big thing. So you might remember that I actually had a copy of this. It was a coverless copy that I had gotten a facsimile cover for and got it graded. And I gave that away for my, I believe, 750 subscriber giveaway. So that was the Thursday before Friday, or Thursday night, Friday morning, the WandaVision show aired. And I said, look, if I'm going to get another one, because I have the whole set of Uncanny X-Men volumes 1 through 5. That includes this book right here. Well, now I don't, because I just gave that book away. Which, in giving it away, aside from being a great giveaway, if I do say so myself, aside from that, it was kind of forced me to get something besides that coverless copy. So I said, if I'm going to get one for a decent price, I better go ahead and get it now. So I started scouring eBay and other places to try to find a book. So I found one on eBay that was being consigned through mycomicshop.com. So here's a clue about mycomicshop.com. If you find a book of theirs on eBay, unless you're paying with eBay bucks or you just want those eBay bucks, don't use eBay for that. Go to their website. It's listed on their website, and it's cheaper on their website. The same book, because they obviously have to pay eBay fees that they don't pay on their own website. So just keep that in mind. A little tip of the trade there. So I found this one. It was pretty beat up. It was pretty rough. And I didn't realize how rough it was until it actually got back to me. But it was pretty rough. It was better than a 0.5, or essentially a coverless comic. It was better than that, but not much better, I didn't think. And I had was able to negotiate with the seller which since this was like late at night when I was able to negotiate with them, I was actually glad that they were watching their stuff, because otherwise they probably would have said, no, I'll just wait and I'll sell it in a day or two where it's like twice as expensive. So I was able to negotiate down the price. I had this graded as a 1.0. It came back as a 2.0. So huge difference. Now it did come back restored. Restoration includes extensive amount of color touch on the cover, and the cover is detached. I don't remember if the cover was detached or not. I think I was like so scared to even mess with it because it just felt really brittle. But yeah, there's a lot of color touch. I can see it in Magneto's helmet, as well as her hair. And again, is that color touch or is that the kid coloring on their book? I don't know. But yeah, and you can see like this right here kind of looks like water damage as much as anything else, but I don't think that they dinged it for that. It does say on the back, full page ads for Avengers 4, Sergeant Fury 6, Fantastic Four 25, and Amazing Spider-Man 11 on the full page ads inside the book. So that's pretty neat. Yeah, there are quite a few graders notes on this. And hey, I'm just glad to have it back in the collection. I've got a wall of the early Uncanny X-Men, as you might know, in my comic book corner over there, and it's been pretty empty as of late. This book right here, because I got it in, sent it to the presser in January, and this is May, and I'm just now getting it back. So it was an upgrade. Even though it says restored, it was an upgrade versus what I had before. And so I was happy about that. So overall, happy with the grades that I got. I think the presser did his job, which is important. And I feel like CBCS did their job in catching the stuff that needed to be caught. I think that even though as a seller sometimes, collector mainly, but a seller sometimes, as a seller, I would love for them to miss everything and get a higher grade, which I can sell or pawn off on somebody else, whatever way you want to call it. But as a collector, I like to know that, hey, this book is indeed what it is. And when you have confidence in that, that helps. Not to say CBCS is without its faults. I mentioned those earlier where I felt like CGC was better in some ways than CBCS. I feel like with CBCS, what I've heard from them is that they grade strictly. And so if you know that, hey, that's a 2.0, that's a 2.0. PGX, I feel like, is an okay company. I've used them in the past, but one of the things that you hear with them is the inconsistency in grading. Sometimes they nail it and sometimes they don't. And it's not like a 0.5 off, it's like a 3.0 off or something. It's pretty big. And you can't really buy like that because you just don't know. And you can't really sell like that in good honesty because you just don't know. And the seller's not going to pay the premium dollar that you're going to get from a CGC slab or a CBCS slab. I've heard that CBCS slabs get 20% less than what CGC slabs. I feel like that's going to be less and less until it's nil. And you sellers are the first line of defense there. Quit selling your slabs for 20% less. I've only ever had one person make that comment to me when they were trying to buy a slab. And I'm like, you just insulted my slab. No, thanks. You can't sell that. Well, yeah, I can. I can sell it for whatever I want. And you know what? As a matter of fact, I held on to it and I sold it for exactly what I wanted to. If everybody did that, there wouldn't be no difference between a CBCS and a CGC slab. But as CGC kind of wanes or stumbles as they're going through this growth spurt, hopefully CBCS sees the handwriting on the wall and is ahead of the curve in hiring and getting new people in there so that they don't get overwhelmed to the point that they're CGC 2.0. Because they are actively going out there and getting signings now. They are putting coupons out there to try to get people to continuously go there. So that can lead to some of the same problems CGC was facing and is still facing. Whether they pull out of it, I don't know. Probably a mix of people sending their stuff somewhere else or just not sending it in at all, like some of the flippers that were hoping to get those new modern books at 9.8 so they can turn around and flip them for a quick profit. Some of that's probably going away with their new changes and new price upticks. but we'll see. Time will tell. What do you think about this haul? What do you think about these books that I just got graded? What do you think about the grades? Are you grading your comic books? Let me know in the comments down below. I go back and forth on grading. Like I said, some of these, had I known or thought to think about those type of things, I wouldn't have sent them in, like the Detective Comics 400. But are you using CGC or CBCS? Both? And let me know if you've got some that are waiting on finally getting around to being graded. I appreciate everybody for watching this video. Be sure before you get out of here to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Hit the subscribe button and the bell notification. I do videos like this all the time. I do mystery box unboxings, new comic book day books, live shows, auctions, rants, raves, you know, the whole 9 yards. So if you're interested, hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so you don't miss any of the content. And until next time, keep reading and keep collecting. Adios.